everyone, I'm Rick with Points Hawk, and we've got a trip that a couple of travelers are going to be going on from Minneapolis to London. They've got an event coming up in October. Now, I'm recording this in July of 2026. Their trip is going to be October of 2026. And so they want help finding a couple of some flights that will, using their points and miles, so that they can get to and from and hopefully save some money. A couple of things to note. So let's just run through the details of what they're looking for. Their event is on October 10th. They are looking to fly out around October 6th. They have a day or two of flexibility on either side of that, but they do need to be there by the 10th. They are looking to return on the 25th of October. They're going to spend some time just looking around the United Kingdom. Again, they're flying from Minneapolis to London. We've got 2 passengers that they need to get tickets for. They've got 153,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points that they've got to work with. From a priority perspective, as far as what's important to them, they are looking for comfort. First of all, they really want premium seats. So that would include premium, obviously business class, but business class or first class, but also premium economy. We're going to take that into consideration as well, because that is a worthwhile upgrade over regular economy. They are next in priority is going to be convenience. They are open to some positioning, and that could be very important because Minneapolis is not necessarily a major international hub. It is an international airport, but there are other places that we may need to look to see if we can get better deals and better options from. And then third in priority is going to be best points deal. They do want to get a good value for their points, obviously. And then finally, at the bottom of the list is lowest cash cost. That's going to be important because there could be certain situations, especially when we're talking about United Kingdom, where taxes and fees are going to be higher, especially flying back out again. So they're not as concerned about that, and that's good to know. I did go ahead and look up what a simple itinerary would be. A round trip for 2 people from Minneapolis to London Heathrow. Again, round trip for the dates they're looking at would cost about $5,000 for 2 people in premium economy, and about $11,400 in business class. So those are our baselines. That's what we're trying to beat. We want to make sure to save them money with their points and miles, even if there is some cash in front as well. So let's see what we can find. All right, we're going to start with seats.aero. That's where we're going to do our first searches. I love aggregators like seats.aero. I use it regularly just as a starting point. There are others out there. Seats.aero allows me to use it for commercial purposes, so hence I can use that for my clients. But it's not perfect. That's an important thing to note. You are not going to find all airlines through any seat aggregator or any award flight aggregator tool. So it's a good place to start, but it's never where I'm going to finish, and you always want to validate. Sometimes you'll see things in here that are cached, meaning it may have shown up at some point in the past, but it may not be active right now. So it's always something you need to verify before you do anything. So we're going to start with the outbound flight. I'm always doing one ways instead of round trips for award flights, just because that way you can mix and match. A lot of times when you search with one airline for round trip, you're not going to find great deals. So it's worth it to do one ways. And honestly, it doesn't, other than some very unusual exceptions, it's not going to make that much of a difference. So we're going to try to keep it simple at first, see if we can find something from Minneapolis to London. Because if we can find something direct, and our dates are October 6th, we'll leave a day on either side to see what we can find there. Again, they need to be there by the 10th, so that should give them time to get settled in, get comfortable before they go in. You'll also notice now I can technically search for more than one seat. I always leave it at 1, just so I can see what's available. I'll be able to see later what options are available for how many seats are available, and I'll check it out when I actually search the actual airline itself. As we're pulling up, we'll see there's definitely some economy options, but that's not what we're looking for. Our travelers want to use some premium seating. Now, we can still see as they're coming. Business class, we've got some business class. We technically got first class, but business class is showing up. Now the trick is that they've only got Chase points, so they are not transferable to American. We can simplify this by filtering down to Chase, and then it will only show what's available for Chase. And when we do that, there's not, this is not good pricing for business class. I'm just going to say that up front. So this is not something we're interested in. Premium economy, though, is something worthwhile. A lot of times people think business class is the only option. I really encourage people to check out premium economy if it's available, because you can save a lot of points and still get a meaningfully better experience. It's not just some extra leg room. It's an entirely different experience over regular economy. So it's worth checking it out. But as we can see, that's not even available from MSP. Part of this is, thankfully they are willing to do some positioning, meaning go to another airport to see what's available. But yeah, we're not seeing any good options here with the direct from MSP, which is Minneapolis to London Heathrow. So we're going to need to expand out a little bit. What we should try first is take a look at some large airports that would be easy to position from Minneapolis to London. So let's take a look at Chicago, and let's take a look at JFK or New York City. I'm going to actually just put New York City, which will capture LaGuardia. It will capture JFK. It will actually even capture Newark. So we'll see what we find. All right, and then we'll research again, see if we can find any better premium seating options so we don't have to default to economy. We are getting some options. Again, we've still got our Chase filter on, so we're only seeing things that transfer to Chase. Again, the business class is just not great. Again, they've only got 153,000 Chase miles, so not a great option there. Still searching, but not so great. If we look at premium economy, okay, now we're finding something worthwhile. We've got United here, which looks like they might have a nonstop. Yep. This is on the 5th, so that's within their flexibility that they could work with here. On the 5th, nonstop on United from Chicago to London Heathrow for 50,000 points each. We'll have to go and check that out. It says they got 9 seats there for that, plus about $6 in taxes and fees, which is great. Love U.S. airlines for that. Not U.S.-based airlines for that purpose. Okay, so that's definitely an option. We'll want to check that out. And then Flying Blue also has some options here from JFK. Now, what this green means direct, blue means indirect, meaning there'd be a layover. So if we take a look at this, let's just look at the 6th because they're the same. From JFK to London Heathrow. If we take a look at this, it's flying Air France, which means you're going to be having a layover in Paris at that point. But 42,000 points plus about $247 in taxes and fees per person. We'll check that out too because that may be worth it as well. Those seem to be the only options. Checking business class again. Nope, nothing new. Not surprising there. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at some of those outbound flights. We will go and check out the United first. Okay, we're going to want to change, make sure we search for 2 adults since that's who's going to be traveling, just to make sure we're able to find that. And good news is we are indeed seeing some premium economy. Let's sort by the premium economy. And yeah, we've got some good options here. We've got there's that nonstop that we saw on Seats.era. They technically have a one with a layover as well. Now, important thing to note, if you are a United flyer, like you're flying United regularly, you should definitely be considering getting one of their co-branded cards, at least the Explorer card, simply because they've recently made changes where they have strong preference for card holders, for co-branded card holders. What that means is you can end up with better pricing for award flights as well as better availability. I do not have one. I don't fly United that much personally, So I won't see that, but I can see if somebody's got a United card, they can get about 5,000 off per person, and they may have better availability even than what we see here. But this is good. So we've got 50,000. That would be 100,000 points total and about $12. So that would take up a good chunk of their points. Again, they were dealing with 153,000, but that's something there. So that is definitely an option. We're going to document that as a possibility. Now we want to go check out that flying blue option and see if we can find that one too, because that was a little bit lower points, even though there was more cash involved. Okay, now we're over here. Now we see there are a couple of direct flights flying Virgin that you can book through Air France, but they're just economy, so that's not what we're interested in. So let's sort by our premium economy and see if we can find those easily. And yeah, we've got some options here. It looks like we've actually got 3 days worth that have them. Let's make sure we change the flight to 2 people. It is not round trip. Booking with miles. Note that, if you're doing this yourself, you're going to want to make sure you have your loyalty accounts all set up so that you can do the searching. You're going to need that anyway at any point. So just go ahead and set up all the loyalty accounts that you can possibly have just so you can do that. In a lot of cases, not all cases, but in a lot of cases, you won't even be able to search for award flights without having those loyalty accounts set up. You don't need to put miles in most of the time. There are a couple of rare exceptions to those, but they're not my favorite. but in general, you at least need to have the account set up so that you can find what's available. Okay, so we've got that. Let's sort by lowest price, and boom, here we go. We've got a couple of them. We've got a connection here with just under 2 hours in Paris. And this is on the 6th that we're looking at here, and then yeah, this is the price for 2 people. 84,000 miles and about $494 in taxes and fees. So this is another one. We're going to set this one aside as another option for outbound. Now that we found a couple of outbound options, let's take a look at some return flight options. For the return flight, we're going to change it to the 26th. Again, they've got some time around there, but especially if we can capture that early part of the week. A lot of times the best pricing that you'll find for award flights are from Sunday through about Thursday. So if we can include any of those dates, we have a better likelihood of finding things. Honestly, Friday and Saturday are usually going to be harder to find a good deal. Still searching. We'll do a quick filter for business class. A little better pricing this direction, 75,000 points through Aeroplan, but let's just see what that actually looks like in practice. Because sometimes those can be pretty extensive. I mean, it's not terrible, except for the fact there's an almost 19-hour layover in Warsaw. Oof. So not great. And that would take up, if you remember, they only had 150,000 points. So if they went this route, they'd be waiting a long time, have a pretty high amount of cost here. Now, part of that is just flying out of the United Kingdom. They've got a lot of taxes and fees when you're flying in or out of that. There is a trick around that, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. But yeah, so high taxes and fees is not going to be unusual, quite frankly. But this would basically, they'd need 150,000 points just for one direction. Now, it would be business class, so maybe it's worth paying cash outbound. But in this situation, the travelers would really like to use their points for both directions if they can, so we're going to try to do that. So business class, not really a great option there. Let's once again look at premium economy, and now check this out. Okay, so looking at Virgin, London Heathrow to JFK, we've got, this has got to be a saver fare for Virgin, but 16,500 points in premium economy. Virgin has one of the, if not the best premium economy cabin experiences. So it's definitely worthwhile if you can get that. Now, let's just take a look and see details there. Make sure it is actually nonstop. And it is. 16,500 points. London Heathrow to JFK. Flying Virgin. We'll definitely check that out. Looks like they've got 9 seats available at that price there, potentially. We will confirm. Um, Outside of that, we do have a couple of flying blue options as well. There's looks like 33,100 points. I would bet since this is nonstop, this is probably a partner flight. It might be Virgin or it might be Delta. Let's see. Oh, it's the Virgin one. So we probably aren't going to want to do that. All those options. Okay, so premium options looks like it's just those Virgin flights. So, but they're charging more. That's why it's important to look at partner airlines. A lot of times, you may see one same flight, but one is much lower in points or even cash in some cases than the other one. So it's worth checking things out. So we'll go check out the Virgin Atlantic flights and see if that's the case. I may still check out Flying Blue as well, just to see. I feel like I might have seen another option that was available on one of these days, but we'll check that out too. Okay, and yes, as we can see, we've got premium option here. Let's just see, that might be the best. Yep. 16,500 points per person. Let's just make sure that that doesn't change when we change it to two people. And yeah, here we go. For two people, 33,000 points. Now, that is pretty pricey on the taxes and fees, but as I said before, flying out of the United Kingdom is just going to be more pricey from taxes and fees. So this is definitely an option. We're going to document this one as a possibility. That would be the easiest thing. Of course, this would get them back to JFK, and they'd have to position back from JFK back to Minneapolis, but that shouldn't be too hard to do. We'll definitely look at what those prices look like too, because the goal is still to save money on this trip overall. Right, now, the other thing to note, besides as I said, flying out of the United Kingdom can be expensive, but sometimes if you just hop across to Dublin and fly, do a cheap trip over to Dublin, which is going to be really quick, and there are a lot of really cheap flights over there on economy. Then you can fly from Dublin to wherever you're going in the U.S. on a premium in premium cabins and potentially save a lot of the cash and taxes and fees. So just to show you let's take a look at what that looks like. If I change the origin to Dublin, now we've got this very interesting Flying Blue one. It's showing as non-stop from Dublin to JFK. I'll bet, again, Flying Blue is generally going to be Air France or KLM, and usually that's not going to be non-stop unless it's a partner airline. And it is. It's flying Delta, as a matter of fact. Delta Premium Economy. But check out the difference here. So 34,700 points. So it is some more points than the Virgin Atlantic one that we were looking at there. But $289 in taxes and fees. This is probably about half of the taxes and fees versus flying out of the United Kingdom. And that's not unusual. It's often worth looking to see what Dublin looks like, because we could easily get a cash positioning flight from London to Dublin. Just a quick pop over. It's going to be about an hour of a flight or less, basically less than an hour of a flight. It's really close. And then you get your main flight in a premium cabin from there, and you're going to save a ton on taxes and fees. So let's just confirm this, make sure that this is actually available, and then we'll include that in our options. Once again, we will filter we'll switch it up to two people first. One way, Dublin to New York. We're looking at the 27th. And if we switch it to premium, well, see, this is the risk sometimes. This flight may not be available anymore. Nope. Oh, well, that was worth checking. I can check and see. I don't think. Yeah, it looks like. See, if we go back over here, we check this out. It says that it was available 1 hour ago. Dublin to JFK. But lots can change if that happens. Could be that it's because it's 2 instead of 1. If I change it to 1, let's just out of curiosity, let's see if that shows up then again. Aha, yeah. So it looks like they only had 1 seat available. Did I miss that? I did. There it is, 1 seat. Well, I mean, they could choose to do that and the other person fly an economy and hope to be able to upgrade, but not a great possibility there. And I mean, it's possible, but it's just, that's adding additional risk there. So, but it just shows you the significant difference, and that's why it's very important to check things. In this case, there was 1 seat available at this price, but as soon as we bumped it up to 2, I mean, just look at the difference in pricing here from 34,000 and change miles to 272,000. These are flights they don't want you to use miles for. They want to sell those for cash, is what they're trying to say in that situation. They are demotivating you from using your points for that. So, all right, well, that was a good. It was worth checking just to see. As far as Dublin goes, there is also this Virgin one from Dublin to JFK. I'm guessing that's the same one. Yep, because they're all part of the same alliance. This is that Delta flight, but again, there's only 1 seat there. So not a lot of great situations there. So while Dublin is an option, in this case, it doesn't look like that's going to work. So we will just focus in on the ones coming out of London Heathrow. We could potentially look at other ones in other locations, but in this case, we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible and work with the flights that are really close together. All right. Well, good news is we did find some good flights. Those are going to be options that I share with my client. So as far as recommendations, again, just to lay it out, outbound Chicago to London Heathrow nonstop, flying United in premium economy. Then returning on Virgin Atlantic, London Heathrow to JFK nonstop in premium economy. I did look up the positioning flights. In total, that would be about $440 as of today. The total points that they'd be paying for all their flights would be 133,000 points. And that total out of pocket then would be $1,716 in taxes and fees. Now, if you remember, it was $5,000 round trip from Minneapolis to London Heathrow for 2 people. So saving $3,284 from that out of pocket cost for premium economy, meaning they're saving 66% over if they paid cash. So overall, that's a pretty good deal. Looking forward to sharing this with them. If you have not already done so, I ask you to like, subscribe, click the button so that you know when we've got new videos coming out. I hope you enjoyed this. Just as a reminder, if after watching this, you're thinking, wow, that was a lot of work to find those great deals, I understand that. It's not for everyone. But remember, you can always go to pointshock.com, schedule a free consultation with me, and I can potentially help you out and talk through some options with you. Anyway, hope this was educational, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.